Welcome in, everybody, back to another edition of View from the Nest, only here on Birds of the Gridiron's YouTube channel. And as always, I am your recording host, Sam Nelson. Of course, guys, always do us that favor. Go hit that subscribe button for Birds of the Gridiron here on YouTube, and go hit that like button on Facebook and give Birds of the Gridiron your untapped support. And of course, Birds of the Gridiron is always live Monday nights at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, giving you guys the best Eagles coverage here in the Philadelphia area. Of course, we are for Eagle fans, by Eagle fans. That will always be what we are about. So do us a favor, go give us some support on our social media platforms. So last week we talked about a lot of stuff about the Eagles offense with Kellen Moore. And you guys made that video absolutely amazing. Over a bunch of views, bunch of likes. Really appreciate the support that video got. So this week, I want to talk about Nolan Smith. And we're going to go back to the Eagles defense with Nolan Smith because, on Birds of the Gridiron this past Monday, Tyler Adams, my co-host, and I talked about Eagles pass rushers and who is going to be the leaders of that group. And I really think this year, I personally think that Nolan Smith is really prime for a breakout season in his second year with the Eagles. Now, we all know what the Nolan Smith story. He was drafted 30th overall by the Eagles in 2023. That was the draft. They took him in the first round along with fellow Georgia Bulldog Jalen Carter. And Nolan Smith really had a really odd rookie season. Now, again, the Eagles defensive coaching staff was all over the place last year in terms of what they did and how they did things. Nolan Smith just couldn't find the field. Now, when he did find the field, he was somewhat pretty productive, but he was only getting about, I'd say, 7 to maybe 10 snaps per game. The Eagles really weren't playing him much, but even though the times that he was on the football field, he was very productive. But for some reason, they just couldn't find more snaps for him. I know they tried. He is an edge rusher, but they were trying him with some off-ball linebacker stuff. I really don't want to see that from Nolan Smith anymore. That's why you brought in a Devin White, a Zach Ball, you still have N'Kobe Dean. Yeah, you drafted Jeremiah Trotter. I don't want to see no more off-ball linebacker stuff from Nolan Smith. But if you look at some of the stuff that he did, he had a really good game against the Miami Dolphins. I think that was where he got his first career sack. And then I believe he had a really good game in Tampa against the Bucs in the playoffs. Now, granted, not a lot of people on that defense had a really good playoff game because that playoff game was ugly. We know that. But Nolan Smith, in the time he was given, he played somewhat pretty well in that game. And I feel like Nolan Smith has this really unique ability. He's very quick. First of all, when he was drafted, he was a little on the lighter side for an edge rusher. Coming in at only, I believe it was like 230 pounds when he was drafted. And that's light on the weight side for a pass rusher. Usually they're around 250, 255. Well, Nolan Smith came into minicamp saying that he added some muscle this offseason, and he is now weighing about 246. That's about the standard now for an edge rusher in the Vic Fangio type of scheme. A lighter, more nimble guy that can come in and rush the passer and do that stuff and just be quick off the edge for the Eagles is something they really need, especially with Hassan Reddick leaving for the New York Jets. Now, back to Smith's rookie year, it was an odd year for him. It was kind of almost like I would compare it to his former Georgia Bulldog teammate and now Eagles teammate Jordan Davis in 2022. Now, the Eagles drafted Davis in 2022 in the first round, but he was sitting there behind guys like Fletcher Cox, who, of course, now retires, one of the all-time greatest Eagles of all time. And then he was also sitting behind Javon Hargrave. Now, Javon had a really good year in 2022, posting a career high with 11 and a half sacks under Jonathan Gannon and that ridiculous pass rush that led the league with over 70 sacks. So, not surprised that that Jordan Davis didn't play a lot in 2022. Now, Nolan Smith last year, he kind of had the same issue. He was playing behind guys like Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, more established guys that have been in the league longer. So Nolan Smith kind of had a rough go at it in getting terms of playing time. Now, I believe the Eagles should have gave him more playing time. If you draft a first-round pick, just in my opinion, I think he has to play no matter what. I don't care how you get him on the football field. Just get him on the football field. And the Eagles really struggle to do that. So I'm hoping that this year Nolan Smith gets a bulk of the playing time. Now, he's still got some guys ahead. I mean, Josh Sweat is still here, but honestly, Josh Sweat to me hasn't earned a starting job yet this year. I mean, he had a really rough go at it last year. There were reports that he was freelancing it and just doing his own thing out there under Sean Desai. So he hasn't, to me, earned anything. Plus, he's on a restructured one-year deal. Brandon Graham's still here, but I mean, he's getting older, and he's right now in this point of his career just a rotational pass rusher. You still have Bryce Huff coming in over from the Jets, and I believe him and Nolan Smith potentially could be your starting edge rushers. Now, look, would I be surprised if we came into the season and our starting edge rushers were Josh Sweat, Bryce Huff? Not at all. But Nolan Smith, to me, is better against the run than Bryce Huff. I think he's light years better against the run than Bryce Huff as of right now. Huff's done some development in that area. And I still think he's a better long-term option than Josh Sweat. I mean, if Josh Sweat's just a rotational pass rusher, that's fine. But here's some interesting stuff I want to bring up here real quick. I'm going to pull it up right here on the screen for you guys. These are some numbers compared to some guys that are kind of built the same as Nolan Smith, and some of them are more typical edge rushers. Some of them are guys that have played a little bit around all over the place. So here's some interesting numbers that I found with Nolan Smith's rookie year. So look on the screen right now. These are rookie seasons comparing Nolan Smith, Hassan Reddick, Andrew Van Ginkel, Max Crosby, Zadarius Smith, Josh Allen, and DeMarcus Lawrence. So if you look on this first column, it's total snaps played in their rookie season. Nolan Smith is second to last on this list in snaps played at only 203. He's only ahead of Van Ginkel, who had 197 his rookie year. And of course, Max Crosby had 750, Reddick had 444, Smith 405, Allen 634, DeMarcus Lawrence 271. But now let's look at more advanced stats. Look at the pressure rate. And Nolan Smith is tied for second in pressure rate on this list with Max Crosby. Max Crosby is a pretty good pass rusher last time I checked. And then, of course, you have Josh Allen, who comes in at first with 12.6%. Josh Allen's the freak of nature over there in Jacksonville. Now, if you look at his sack rate, it was at 2.1%. Again, very little sample size due to the only playing 203 snaps. But it was higher than Hassan Reddick, higher than Andrew Van Ginkel, right around the same area with Zadarius Smith, Max Crosby, a little bit behind Josh Allen, and way better than DeMarcus Lawrence. And now here's the really interesting category if you look at this. It comes down to the fact of run rate at 10.7. Now, he's right around the area of Van Ginkel, a little less than Hassan Reddick, a little under Max Crosby, tied with Josh Allen, better than Zadarius Smith, and better than DeMarcus Lawrence. So if you just look at these numbers here, these numbers indicate that those numbers right there just indicate that Nolan Smith is honestly, in my opinion, primed for a breakout season. And those aren't numbers compared to last season. Those are those guys' rookie seasons. And look what happened with all those guys. They got more playing time. They got better as their careers went on. So I am really excited to see what Nolan Smith does this year. I'm really excited. Hopefully he gets a more expanded role in this defense. And I think Vic Fangio is just going to do light years for the career of Nolan Smith. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this little video about Nolan Smith. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Don't forget to catch Birds of the Gridiron every Monday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, hit that like and subscribe button on Facebook and YouTube for us. We greatly appreciate it. So I'm Sam Nelson. Have a good rest of your Thursday, everybody.